We're hearing these days about Somalis promised Minnesota 3,000 years ago. Is that real or not? I want to clarify that today, why that's been said. But what I'm saying is, the people who are saying that mostly don't know what I'm about to tell you guys. It is about history, not about biblical. That history is 3,000 years ago, an African empire came to Americas, especially Yucatan Peninsula. There was a civilization there, Mayan civilization. And the reason why they came here, that African empire, which was Pharaoh's empire, there's a story behind it. And that story starts like this. A guy who was in charge of the harbor of Kemet, modern day Egypt. That was its original name actually for pharaohs. That land is called Kemet. Kemet means black land. So that guy was standing in a harbor or a port, seaport. So a boat left the seaboard and he was watching it, and then the boat disappeared. And when the boat disappeared, he couldn't believe what he was seeing actually. So he thought first, why this boat disappeared? I have to, go after that boat. And he took another boat, and that boat, he saw the boat that had been disappeared. So then he stopped for a while, and the boat disappeared again. And then again, he did that every time when he, stopped and then go after, he saw the boat. So he did that for a couple of times, that procedure. So he realized the wall is not flat, it's glab. So what he did was he came to the Pharaoh's government, the kingdom of Pharaoh's government, and he told that what he saw actually. And then they couldn't believe it. They said, we have to check it ourselves. And they checked this, they did the same as he did. A boat left, and that boat disappeared, all that, he did. So then they said, in order to make sure, we have to create an expedition that goes around the world physically and see if the wall is glab. So they divided and faced west, crossed the Atlantic Ocean, and came to Yucatan Peninsula. And Yucatan Peninsula 3,000 years ago was where native people is being governed. That was the capital of Americas at that time. So they came in a peace, not conquering, although they could. Then they showed them how to build, pyramids. We know pharaohs were famous building the pyramids. So they did that. They also worship same religion, which they used to worship to the sun, both of them, pharaohs and Native Americans. So the pyramid itself of the pharaohs, which they built from a concrete, was worship place. Was a worship place. They were used to worship to sun, as I said. So in order to stand outside and look up the sun, their eyes, that will be dangerous actually. So what they did was they built rooms, in the pyramid, and then they built also and created tunnels that sun comes through, the beam of sun comes through. So that beam of sun comes to the place they built for the worship, and then that's why where they used to actually worship the sun. That's the purpose of the pyramid. And those guys also, Indians or Native Americans, let me say. Indians, wrong word actually. They used to worship sun, and the pyramids is in Yucatan Peninsula is for sacrificial for human. They put a person on the top of the pyramid for the sun. That's what they do. So pharaohs stayed there for a while because their aim was not to stay longer, because they wanna go around the wall in order to see the wall is glass. They went to Machu Picchu. Everywhere actually they were going, they were building, buildings and signs. They went to New Zealand, there are signs now. They went to Australia, Thailand, India, all far Asian, countries. They went there and they built buildings, or they show how to build before they go, because they were famous for that. Okay, so then at last they came back to where they started, which is Kemet, modern day Egypt. So they realized and proved for real that wall is glass. But what's the connection, Somalis, with that actually? Pharaohs were Cushites. Africa is divided into sub-ethnic, which is Cushite and Bantu. So they were Cushites. Somalis are Cushites. Most of Somalis. There's some, migration from Arabia. Those are not Cushites. but the indigenous of the land, Cushites, connections with the pharaohs. So technically, Somalis came Americas 3,000 years ago, not Minnesota. It doesn't exist at that time. All these names doesn't exist. It was one continent that has been ruled at Yucatan Peninsula. So that is the fact. And if you want a reference, you can check this video. I'm just putting, that video, which is documentary in YouTube. Yeah. So that is the fact, but it's not Minnesota, but it is Americas. An African empire came to Americas 3,000 years ago. Europeans were in a caves at that time and jungle, you know what I mean? So that's the, reality of that. But they say, Columbus discovered, Columbus. He was a lost guy, actually. Columbus was a lost guy who was looking for spices at that time, which is hot commodity in the world. And he was going to India. That was his aim. When Vasco da Gama actually hit the storms in the Cave of Good Hope of Cape Town, where where it's modern day Cape Town, then he named it Cave of Good Hope. When that happened, Columbus was ready to go in that route. And when that happened, he said, I cannot stay. So also, he knew the wall is glab. So if he goes to west, then he will come at last to India. That was his aim. So lost guy, actually. So, and his spices were, very, very actually important at that time. In Europe, they taste it, and they like it, and they want to make trades of spices. But they didn't have that in Europe. So that's what they make in journey, actually, to Asia. There was no Canal Suez at that time. In 1300s, they were going West Africa, then South Africa, then East Africa, then Asia. From that, Indian Ocean, they cannot go to Indian Ocean unless they do that. Yeah. And that's what they discovered, actually, the East, actually, because even there's another story which is a one-eyed queen, Pharaoh's one-eyed queen, Mirananda, was defeated Julius Caesar when he captured the land of Kemet, modern day Egypt, when pharaohs declined their power and they retreated to Sudan. But he want to go other side of Africa, and she stopped him, actually. Her and her army stopped Julius Caesar there. And they make a treaty. Don't come here, and we're not gonna go where we come from. Actually, it's our land, which is now you occupy. We're not gonna go there, but don't come this way. You know, this out this yeah. Don't come to southeast of Africa. So Europeans, the first time they saw East Africa and Indian Ocean was 1300 actually. Yeah, that's a fact too. So I just want to clarify what these days, you know, people are saying. It was funny, but this is the reality. This is history. Yeah. So that's the only thing I, you know, when I came here today.